Welcome back to another Bali COVID-19 update, and this is my no-name channel, my Bruce Pullman channel, and my name is Bruce, and this is for April 25th, I believe, 2021. And today I wrote down 2001. Maybe a senior moment. Okay, so I'm back from Ubud and still working on a travel video from the trip to Ubud, which was, well, good and bad. Good to see some old friends. Kind of disappointed in some other ways, and I'll talk about that in the travel video when I get it done. So let's take a look and see what's happening in Bali this week. And first we're going to start with the numbers, of course. Okay, let's get to the numbers. And 124 new cases. That gives us a total of 43,915 and 41,229 recoveries, 1,296 deaths, and 1,390 active cases. So pretty steady. 122 Indonesians and 2 foreigners reported, and there's been still continues to be reports on social media that foreigners get this, but they aren't being reported in the official data. I don't know. That's from social media. Could be true, could be not true. Out of the 124, 111 were local, 12 were domestic travelers, and 1 was an international traveler. And by regencies, 52 for Denpasar, Buleleng 22, Badung 13, Gianyar 13, Jembrana 4, Karangasem 3, Klungkung 2, and Bangli 1. And I'm going to talk about India a little later. And so recently, 153 Indian citizens and 7 Indonesians who were in India arrived in Jakarta. 12 of those Indians tested positive and are in isolation. The remaining 148 are in 14-day quarantine in one Jakarta hotel. So India is a problem, and I just read that Singapore has also blocked Indian citizens and people that are coming from India into Singapore. So this is going to be a problem. This surge that goes on in India, and it's happening in Brazil, and it's happening in Korea. Korea was up to 700 yesterday, I think. Korea was one of the early examples of how to deal with the coronavirus, but I think they're on their 4th wave now, and so this shows that this is tough to get rid of, no matter what you do. And Koreans have been, they've really had it together with tracing and people getting messages. Oh, there's cases in your neighborhood, shutting down schools once there's a case in the school. So this is not easy. Okay, so let's talk about vaccinations. And vaccinations continue to take place around the island. And there's some links below. I'm not going to cover each place because it's happening everywhere. Vaccinations are going on everywhere. Kuta, I'm just going to mention one here. Kuta has a drive-through system that's been implemented, organized by the Badung Health Office in collaboration with Halodoc and Water Bomb Bali. And it's targeting 2,000 people within 4 days. And this is because the Bupati said that they're focusing on Kuta because the area is the entrance for domestic and international tourists coming in from the airport. And so they feel it's important to have the Kuta area completely vaccinated before the international tourists open up, and, well, and for domestic tourists as well. And he said he hopes the vaccinations will be finished within the 4-day period. And the advantage of this drive-through is, he said, you can do one car, 4 people at one time, a motorbike, 2 people, or if you're in Indonesia, motorbike, 5 people. And as I said, everywhere, all of the regencies are vaccinating people now. So this is still underway, and I'll talk more specifically about a couple of areas in just a minute. And one more thing on vaccines. Article in National Geographic that I suggest you read if you're interested to see what the latest research on vaccinations and infections are. New data from the CDC shows that infections do occur in vaccinated individuals but are rare. The latest data shows that getting shot not only protects vaccinated individuals, but it reduces the chance they can spread the virus to others. So, more good news about vaccinations, and but you got to get up to that magic 70%, right? And so even if you've been vaccinated, there's a possibility that you can transmit the virus to others. You can get an infection, be asymptomatic, and can transmit it to others. It's not likely. The chances are much lower, but they are there. Officials confirm there is no more red zone areas in all of the Bali regions. So Bali officials have confirmed that Bali no longer has any red zone areas. You may remember that only a few weeks ago we had 3 of the 5 red zones in Indonesia. Buleleng was one of them. The Secretary of Bali COVID-19 Handling Task Force, Rentan, said all 9 regions across Bali are now cleared of red zone status, and they are now in orange zone. Now, it's important to realize, though, that even though we're not red zone right now, we are in the orange zone, we can slide back into red zone. So just because it's not red zone now doesn't mean it's not going to happen again. But good news, okay. So no red zones. Dr. Renton said people need to remain cautious and comply with the prevention protocols, and there'll be more on that in just a minute. Okay. And the community-based partial lockdowns, which is really the micro-scale community activities, restrictions on micro-scale community activities, not really a lockdown, is going to be continued until May 5th. And so we're talking about green zones, red zones, orange zones, and good news for residents of Buleleng. Buleleng is now an orange zone. We are no longer a red zone. So Buleleng is now an orange zone based on a report from the National Disaster Management Agency, BNPB. According to the Secretary of the Buleleng COVID-19 Task Force, Gede Suyasa, this is due to the hard work and routine evaluation carried out by the task force in coordination with hospital directors, both private and government. And occupancy rates at hospital beds is now down to 39.7%. A lot better than what I heard yesterday talking to a friend in Japan. He told me that hospitals in his area are turning people away because they're full of COVID-19 patients. So, what's happening with the Olympics? Anyway, as previously mentioned, tourism facilities are being used as centralized isolation areas for people without symptoms, known in Indonesia as OTG. And it's been important to do this so that OTGs are not admitted into hospitals, taking up the time and energy of staff who need to be treating patients who have moderate to severe cases of the virus. And so, good news, we're an orange zone, and let's open the schools here, please. Okay, and another story on the vaccines and vaccinations and what's happening. So, this could be us. India's COVID-19 second wave serves as a warning for Indonesia. Authorities have warned against a second wave in Indonesia, raising concerns that the euphoria surrounding vaccinations may cause people to drop their discipline in implementing health protocols, similar to what's happened in India. So if you've been following, you know India is a mess right now. It's just, wow, it's terrible. Crisis situation. And while our cases are far from peak, you can see on this chart, they've started to trend up again. And so Health Minister Budi Gunadi Sadikin said he's worried about what's happening in India can happen here. He said people are euphoric about the vaccine and are not staying alert. So far, he said, only 6% of the population in Indonesia has been vaccinated. And he says a spike could occur here because of three factors. One, increase in new variant cases with faster transmissions, such as the B117 from UK, B1351 from South Africa, and the P1 from Brazil. Okay. Two, the community feels that cases have dropped back to normal, and so they're going to get lax. And three, a false sense of security stemming from vaccinations, even though our vaccination rate is nowhere near herd immunity. And just a note on this, there's a ban starting tomorrow on Indian citizens. They will not be processing visas. The government put out a notice today or yesterday, I saw it today, saying that the immigration will not process visas for Indian citizens or for people that have been, foreigners that have been in India in the past 14 days. Indonesian citizens who are in India can still come back, but they're going to have to do 14 days quarantine in a government facility. The government's concerned about what's happening with the situation in India. Okay, and another story on reopening Bali, and Bali will implement COVID breathalyzer testing at 6 tourist attractions. This is in Badung. Officials from the Badung regional government have planned to implement the GeNose 19 breathalyzer test in several tourist attractions, 6 actually, in the Badung Regency in the near future. The head of the Badung Tourism Agency, Pak Darmawan, said the policy was made in response to instructions given to the Badung region. At the start of the program, the test will be implemented in 6 tourist attractions in Badung and eventually spread to more. The 6 are Uluwatu, Nung Nung Waterfalls, the Labuan Site Beach, Mandawa Beach, Taman Ayun Temple, and the Monkey Forest in Sangay. And it's not clear yet how many tests are going to be made available because the tests are coming from third party. And the Pak Darmawan urged other tourist attractions to incorporate the test as a quick way to detect the virus at a low cost. And reactive tourists will be followed up by the Badung Health Office, and it's not clear yet who's going to be paying for the cost. Are they going to, if you go to a tourist attraction, there's a fee, are they going to incorporate the cost of the GeNose test into the fee that you pay, or who's going to pay that? So that's not clear yet. But this test is going to be used, and you remember last time I talked about some questions about the validity of the test, the efficiency of the test, the effectiveness of the test. And so I don't know. I guess the government has decided that it's okay, and so they're going to use it. So if you show up at some of these places, you may be asked to breathe into the bag, and you better do it. Okay, so let's talk about opening Bali. And first we're going to talk about opening Bali for domestic tourists, because this is Ramadan month, and if you seen my previous videos, or you follow Indonesian news, or you live here in Bali or Indonesia, you know that there's a ban on travel for Mudik, the time when Muslims in Indonesia go home to celebrate Lebaran, Eid al-Fitr. And so, well, this is a problem personally for us because my oldest daughter is moving back from Jakarta to Bali to come live here. And she's just going to get in under the date. So I hope that works out. So, Vice Governor asked central government to keep Bali open for domestic tourists. Bali's Vice Governor has asked the central government to keep Bali open for domestic tourists during the upcoming travel ban that runs from May 6th to May 17th. And this policy is meant to keep COVID-19 from spreading, avoid another surge. However, the Vice Governor asked that Bali be made an exception because people aren't going to be coming here for Mudik. They're going to be coming here for tourism. And so he says two different things. Okay. The Vice Governor explained to the Bali House of Representatives that Bali would not see a large number of domestic tourists, not likely more than 10,000 at the most. And he assured President Jokowi that people coming to Bali would only be coming here for tourism and not Mudik, so they wouldn't really be violating the Mudik ban. Okay, but some people do come to Bali for Mudik because they live here and they work in other places. But regardless of that, they're still traveling, still coming in. Going to be coming in from places where there's COVID-19 cases. So I'm not quite sure of the logic there. And he added that Bali is already prepared to welcome visitors with all the prevention protocols in place. And so I haven't heard anything. I'm filming this part on, this is Thursday, so I'm kind of getting ahead of myself because my granddaughter has gone for 10, 12, 14 days with her parents and uncle. And so I have a little extra time. So I'm doing some of this on Thursday. I'll do some on Friday, some on Saturday, some on Sunday. Okay. And next, regarding the opening, this one for international tourists, the tourism minister reassures Bali reopening is still on track. So our old friend, Pak Sandiaga Uno, the tourism minister, has confirmed that Bali is still on track for opening in June or July. And he's said this to allay fears that because of the number of red zones that have been publicized about being in Bali, and I talked about this in the last video, that people are afraid that Bali is not going to open in June or July. In fact, well, you'll see, probably seen already, the change in Buleleng status. We're no longer a red zone, we're an orange zone. So, zones change. So, he said, the schedule to reopen Bali for international visitors in June or July is still on track. But he noted, however, the schedule to reopen the border still depends on three main things. And these are compliance level of the people, especially living in the green zones of the three official ones of Nusa Dua, Sanur, and Ubud, the improvement of testing, treatment, and tracing, and the COVID-19 vaccine distribution and the preparation of the travel corridor arrangement. And so these three things can influence this. So he said, so yeah, we're on track, but something could happen. So I wouldn't be booking tickets for June or July. I'd be waiting for August, maybe. Pacuno said he plans to distribute the vaccine to 2 to 3 million people. The 70%, remember, is 3 million people, not 2 million people. I don't know why he keeps saying 2 million people. In the next few weeks or months. Well, better be in the next few weeks if he plans to open in June. And plans on certifying an additional 7,500 tourist destinations across Bali with the CHSE certification. CHSE stands for Cleanliness, Health, Safety, and Environment. And these certificates, he said, will make tourists coming to Bali feel safer. And so that's a good thing. I've seen some places, if you saw the travel video when I was down in Badung, the little inn that I stayed at there, the Zen Inn, they were CHSE certified. And Pakistan Diego Uno concluded by noting the need to harmonize plans for reopening, and this includes school openings and hosting international meetings, need to harmonize this along with stimulus programs such as the Tourism Grant Fund program, the government assistance programs, including the stimulus for industry. And if this happens, he hopes that this will increase economic growth in Bali. So, good news. Still on track. And you've already seen the vaccines, so vaccines are happening everywhere, and we are getting more vaccines. So, can we make it to 3 million by by May, the end of May? And then you've got the month in June. If you waited to kind of check everything, get everything ready, and then open in July, still a possibility. So, if you want to come to Bali, good news. Okay. So what is the situation? So we're getting close, right? So I've talked about getting close to reopening, supposedly June or July. This is close to the end of April. This is what, the 25th. So June's only another 5.5 weeks away. And 6 weeks away. So we know that the government has asked the central government to keep Bali open for tourism. I don't know what's going to happen there, but there's the Mudik ban, and they've extended this now, kind of. So there's going to be starting, I guess, tomorrow, you're going to have a test, a PCR test, within 24 hours to travel. So they're locking down the country in terms of travel, trying to keep the spread from Mudik, because people are going to travel, and I've got my daughter supposed to be coming home. So we talked about the domestic. What about the international? So Bali officials confirmed that Bali is ready to receive international tourists this year. So the provincial government announced Bali is ready to receive tourists this year. Vice Governor said that Bali has completed all the requirements to begin receiving visitors. Preparation stages, including distributing the COVID-19 vaccine in the 3 appointed green zones, and the implementation of prevention protocols are almost finished, he said. So, almost finished, he said. He added that Bali has increased the capacity of medical facilities and laboratories to handle 3,000 specimens a day. Now, in the English version of this, the English article here, they said 3,000 patients a day. And I looked at that and thought, why are they expecting 3,000 patients a day? You go and read the Indonesian version and it says 3,000 specimens a day. You've got to be careful reading some of these Western sources because they're using Indonesian sources and their translations are not always very good. So the hospitals, he said these hospitals are going to be, they've got the labs and beds if they need to, and the BIMC in Nusa Dua and Bali Mandara in Sanur and Kanak Medica in Ubud So they've got the health stuff ready, and 1,800 hotels, restaurants, and tourist destinations have been CHSE certified, he said. Additionally, the vice governor said the compliance rate of Bali people is one of the highest in Indonesia at 96.8%. I wonder how they get this number. 96.8% are compliant. Does that mean they're wearing masks? I know a lot of people would dispute that. Here in downtown Singaraja, yeah, definitely. When I was out on the road, no, I wouldn't say so. So, I question these numbers. Also, he said the COVID-19 vaccine distribution in the green zones is almost 100%, and 23% of the population, or 600,000 people out of the 4.32 million people in Bali have been vaccinated, so 23%. And that's outside of the zone, so 100%, almost 100% in the zones, 23% outside the zones. And vaccinations, as I said before, are going on full tilt to try to get herd immunity by June or July. And the head of the Indonesian Bank for Bali said he's developing a cashless payment system for international visitors in order to minimize contact while making transactions, and that this will be developed in the near future. That's going to be interesting to see. I wonder how that's going to work. Okay, so we ready to open? Okay, the government says we're ready to go. Let's see. Okay, and what about foreigners this week? Oh, it gets weirder and weirder every week. It's just like, it's just bizarre. Face paint mask calls for deportation against influencers who pull a mask prank in Bali supermarket. Okay, and yet another stupid, self-centered stunt in a search for views and follows and content. Two influencers are in the spotlight for violating COVID-19 practices at a local supermarket. So the story is this pair of influencers, a guy and a girl, a man and a woman, he's from Taiwan and she's from Russia. They went to the supermarket and went to go in, and he had a mask on and she didn't, and so the security guard wouldn't let her in. So they went back to the car, they painted a mask on her. I'm just wondering, they drive around with face paint on in their car? It seems like a setup to me, but who knows. So anyway, so they paint her face. Here's a photo. And they go back, and security guard lets him in. He doesn't notice that it's her face is painted. Nobody else does in the store either. So they walk around congratulating themselves and laughing. And of course, they videoed the whole thing, how clever they are. And they posted this, right? And well, it went viral. And so it's been very hot topic, and really definitely two sides on this. One, we have the foreigners that live here, like to call themselves expats, who feel that foreigners are being picked on, and because the passport here has been of these two people has been seized by immigration, and they're now holding it and deciding whether they're going to deport them or not. The influencers' passports were seized, and that was confirmed by a spokesman for the Ministry of Law and Human Rights, and said the couple will be questioned by the Public Order Agency officers at OPP, and after that they're going to be questioned by immigration, who will decide if they're going to be deported. The head of SAPO PP Bali, Ida Dewan Numenrai Damana, said that his agency will recommend to immigration that they be deported because they are not only violating but deliberately provoking in public, so it's only proper to sanction them more severely, not just with a fine, but also with deportation. Bali's mandatory mask rules stipulates a fine of 1 million rupees for foreigners and for the first offense and possible deportation for the second offense. So, no word yet on whether these people are being deported or not. If there is, I will throw this in. If there is, before I post this tomorrow, I'll throw it in. But this has become very controversial. So there are some people who like to call themselves expats who are complaining that expats are being picked on. And gee, a lot of Indonesians don't wear masks and nobody does anything to them. Wrong. They do things to them. And, well, we're not treated fairly. We're not treated equally. We're not citizens either. So, I'm a resident, but I'm not a citizen, so I don't have the same rights as a citizen. And this was clearly put out, posted by the governor about what's going to happen if you continue to violate these rules. So, what's the problem with this? Okay, one is they're violating the laws. This is my take on this. One, they're violating the law. The law is this, and they're aware of it. They live here. Two, they're putting others at risk of getting COVID-19. If they have it, they may have it, and they don't know. Three, they're disrespecting the company and the country and the people. We're guests here. Their rules, play by their rules if you're here. And four, this is really this poor security guy. So he missed it. I'm sure he's going to get some heat from this from some people, but we got foreigners already making fun of him on the internet because, of course, foreigners are, well, they're better than Indonesians. Everybody knows that. I had this conversation in Ubud the other day with an old friend of mine. She said, I'm so sick of foreigners. They think they're better than us. They think they run this country. They think they can do whatever they want to. I'm really, really tired of them. And I know what she means, and you see this on social media. If you look at the conversations about this in social media, in the Indonesian and Balinese social media, you'll see people are tired of foreigners behaving like this. So that's the situation. Foreigners have to get with the program. So that's the one stupid thing the foreigners are doing. That's so cute. Next, this is another Russian. Well, and this is a story actually that goes back a year ago. So there's this video that a Russian model made, and apparently it was up on what's it called? Pornhub, I think. And she made this video in Mount Batur, having oral sex with some guy. You don't see him; he's holding the camera. And she's being investigated now because this video was done apparently a year ago in April 2020, but it's gone viral just recently, and so came to the attention of the authorities. And first they said they didn't know where it was, but they've been investigating. There's a photo here, so they went up, they found the place in Mount Batur. It's just above Pasar Agung temple. And so the Bali police chief said this week that they've discovered the precise location and they're checking to see if the woman is still in Bali. Most likely not. It's been a year. He's probably not here. But so this is another one. Okay, so that's it for this week. I'm still working on a travel video from my little trip to Ubud. Should be done in a day or two, I hope. And weather is great. Unfortunately, you've probably heard about the submarine that went down not too far from here off the waters, just to the east of us. Terrible. Hopefully they'll find the sub. Okay, weather is, is great. It's been great. It's lovely. There's a beautiful breeze. Unfortunately, I can't fly my drone because the breeze is a little too strong for my drone. But it's wonderful weather, and things are kind of looking up in terms of the opening. Still, I wouldn't plan on June, but I'm, a cautious person. I wouldn't plan in June or July. I would think about August, and if you're going to book a flight, make sure that you can get a refund, or you can change the dates if things go south here and we don't open up in June, July, or August. But if we do, boy, you're going to come into some great weather. It looks like the rainy season is over. Knock on wood. Yeah, lovely days. Okay, so thanks for viewing. Stay safe. If you're in Bali, follow the protocols. Be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And be kind to someone today. See you next time.